Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. It's good to see everybody again. As you know, my name is Jen Frank. I am the co-chair of the St. Louis version of the Muni Law School. Again, we have another great speaker here this evening on kind of a different topic for us. It's not a substantive area of the law. It's sort of going to tell us how you can find out about all the areas of the law. So we have one of the librarians from next door at the St. Louis County Court, which is, if you went to law school, the law school librarian was your best friend. So she's going to tell you a little bit about herself, and she's going to tell you how she's going to do the presentation. So I will let Lacy take over.
Okay. So I was originally supposed to have a partner, but he got called away on important federal government business, meaning that there is a Circuit Librarian conference in New York City. So it's not that I blame him, but. So put that in your evaluations, that he was a no-show. I showed up. It's important.
A no-show with an excuse.
Barely. He works for the feds. Anyway, so I'm Lacy Rakestraw. I am the Circuit Librarian. As you were told, I work in the government building right next door, which is the courthouse. I'm on the 6th floor. And I'm going to teach you a little bit tonight about how to find legal resources online for free. This is something that you can do from the comfort of your own home. You don't even have to come see me in the library if you don't want to. Do, but you don't have to. So I'm going to introduce you to some websites that I think you'll find useful. So I'm going to start with Google Scholar. So this is, the name implies Google, but a little more scholarly. So basically, you're going to get to this by typing into your web browser, Google Scholar. You can use Google to go to Google Scholar. The Scholar is important. And from here, if you look down here in this little, look down underneath the search bar, see how it says articles and then case law next to it? If you're looking for scholarly articles about whatever, click articles. But if you're looking for case law, click the case law next to it. And if you'll see underneath, it says federal courts and Missouri courts. Mine defaults to Missouri courts because I've already searched there, but you can search other state courts. So if you decide you want to know about Arizona for some reason, just click that select courts and you can change it. So I want to know about case law from the state of Missouri about, apparently I was interested in first-degree assault. I want to know about all the cases in Missouri that maybe talk about first-degree assault. What are the things you have to prove, the prima facie case, to get first-degree assault in the state of Missouri? So if you look down here in the corner on the left-hand side, apparently the laser pointer doesn't work on it. There it goes, yay. So see how this says anytime right over here? You can, I didn't, but you can change that to narrow it. Say, I want to know first-degree assault in Missouri from the past 10 years only. You can change that in that custom range, but I didn't. So if you'll see, this very first case you have here is from 1993. And it's probably still good law. We don't know. But you would open it, read it, find out. Say here you decide, well, but I don't want just Missouri. I meant to do federal. Okay, you can change it. Right here where it says Missouri courts, just highlight federal law instead. And say you want to read an article about first-degree assault in Missouri. Click the articles button there. And if you look at the very, very bottom there, see how it says sort rate relevance? That tells me that this State v. O'Brien case in Missouri, that's the case in Missouri about first-degree assault. It's going to have the most relevance for me. But if you decide 1993, that's kind of a long time ago. I want the most recent up-to-date case because there was something on the news about that. I want to read that case. You can go right underneath that, under relevance, and sort by date, if that's what's important to you. So Google Scholar is a fantastic, great, free resource to get case law, which, to be honest, case law is kind of hard to find online for free. Pros and cons. As I said, you can specify on Google Scholar by courts. I only want Missouri Supreme Courts, or I only want federal court, I only want Arizona. And you can specify by date. You can even specify where the case is cited. I only want cases that were cited in this particular, if I'm doing federal, I might say I only want 8th Circuit because that's where Missouri is. We're in the 8th Circuit. You can also set up to be notified of a case. So if going back here, if I decide I want to see how often, this one's a little newer, State versus Wayland, the second one from 2001, I can set up a notification to be emailed to me when that case is cited. Say that's the one case that I want to know if something changes. You can set up a notification so you will be alerted to that. So that's kind of a nice thing about Google Scholar. Okay, there's not... Sorry, it's been a long day. Cited means that if I'm in court and I'm the judge and I'm writing the opinion, I need case law that supports my opinion. My opinion is going to be stronger when it's based on other case law. So if I'm writing the opinion, well, according to the really important case, State v. O'Brien in 1993, and then see those, what to you probably doesn't mean a whole lot, letters and numbers underneath that, that's your case citation. That's what tells me, oh, that's the case that you're talking about. So in the case that I'm writing as the judge, if that's the case, I'm going to cite that. And I also want to know how often that case has been cited. Does that answer your question? Yes, no, maybe? Kind of. I'm going to take you to law school after this. Come talk to me. For free. Yes?
On those numbers in front, like the 857 Southwest, and Southwest, that's the book.
Yes, that's your reporter. So if you are not looking online, and if you come to my library and see me, that's what's going to tell me what book and what page number. So that very first number, the 857, tells me it's reporter number 857 of the Southwest 2nd, and your case right here is going to start on page 212. So to me, that's what that says. To you, just come see me. I'm the librarian. I'll pull the book for you, I'll open the page for you, and I'll smile at you. What more could you want? So going back to your original question about citations, you don't always want to just cite that original case. Again, from here, State v. O'Brien, it looks pretty good, right? What if it's not? What if it's been overturned and it's no longer good law? I do not want to cite that case. But do you see that anywhere here? I don't. I don't see anything that says State v. O'Brien, It's still going to be on here because it's still case law, and it's still been cited by other courts. So it doesn't just go away because it's bad law now. That's something to keep in mind when you're using Google Scholar. There's not going to be anything there that says, whoa, 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 you need to think good and hard before you cite this. Some of the paid subscription sites do that. And if you come visit me or any of the other law libraries, we can show you how to do that. You might hear it called shepherdizing or key citing. It's just site checking. So one of the things to remember about Google Scholar, it doesn't have that. As I said, no extras like with the paid subscriptions. So you're not going to have site checking. One of the nice things about the paid subscriptions is if you look up that State v. O'Brien case, not only are you going to get the case, but whatever law it relies on, it'll show up as a hyperlink. So you can click it, and then click on the next one, and the next one, and it's kind of like looking at Wikipedia. Before you know it, you're 5 pages in, and you have no idea how you even got there. That's one of the nice things about the paid subscriptions that's missing from Google Scholar. You don't have those extras. And not all cases are included. Because it's free, you kind of get what you pay for a little bit, so it's not going to be super inclusive. So I can tell you 100%, that's not all the cases on first-degree assaults in the state of Missouri. Probably not even close. So it's not going to have all of them. But again, a good starting point if you just want to basically educate yourself maybe before you come to a law library, just to say, nah, I've already seen the State v. O'Brien case. I want to know what else you have. So something to keep in mind. Okay. This is the Missouri General Assembly website. And I know it's overwhelming and there's a lot of information. And personally, if I was hosting this site, I'd make that picture a little smaller, and I'd make the text a little bigger, and I might get rid of some of the text. If you don't like the website, you can contact your state representatives. See this very first line right up here? The way I tell people to read this, go line by line, instead of just looking at all of it and, oh my goodness, that's so overwhelming. Even I get overwhelmed, and it's my job. Go line by line. So your very first line up here, these are your elected officials. So see how it has a little drop down there? You can use that to contact your elected officials. Like, for example, I live in St. Louis City. Who is my elected official? I don't know, but I don't like something that they've done, and I'm going to tell them about it. Get their information there. Figure out how to contact them. That's their job. Their job is representing you. Contact them. That's how you can find their information. If for some reason you decide you want your own book of the revised statutes, you want all 20 volume because look at all that you're learning here. You're dedicated, I can tell. You can go and buy it from the reviser of statutes. If you are so into the law, you want to watch the House or Senate debates live, guess what? You can do it right there. I know. And then go to the next line. This one has some really good stuff here too. So this is just going to be this year's session. And in 2018, obviously, we'll update. So you're going to have hearings. You're going to have journal actions. And you can search by bill. If you hear, I hear that there's going to be, this is not true, don't quote me. I hear that there's going to be a bill in the state of Missouri on farming. I wonder what that's all about. Search it. You can search by House or by Senate if you know the actual bill number. Or you can, it's kind of indexed. You can search that way. And as I said, you can look your member. If you know, I know that John Smith, he's in the state of Missouri, but who does he represent? I don't know. Look him up right there. Hey, as I said, this website's kind of clunky. Problems or suggestions? Yes, I do. Send him an email. Let him know. You know what? I personally have some trouble seeing this black harsh text on the white background. That's not very friendly for visually impaired people. Consider updating it. Make it a little more ADA friendly. Not a bad suggestion, right? And then the meat and potatoes here. Go to this third line right here. Current statutes and constitution. That's the stuff you really care about. Missouri revised statutes. That's the law of the land, okay? When you click that, you're going to have an index. So you're going to get all the law, and you can go chapter by chapter. If you jump right over that, if you're not sure chapter where you want to go, you can do a search. I want to know what's the law in the state of Missouri on four-way stops, because nobody seems to know how to do them, especially in the city of St. Louis. I want to know the law on that. If somebody's coming at me and we meet together, do we both go at the same time? Do I get to go first because my car is bigger? I want to know if there's a statute on that in the state of Missouri. So I'm going to go there. And if I'm really wanting to know what's the Missouri Constitution, how are judges elected? Or are they elected? In St. Louis County, they're not anymore. That's not true in all of Missouri. I want to know, I'm originally from Taney County, Southwest Missouri. I know they're elected. I want to know about that. How are they appointed? I'm going to go to the Missouri Constitution to figure that out. This little drop-down area here in red, that's where you're going to get those statute books that I talked about. And then down here on the truly agreed bills, that means things that have been passed through the legislature and then the governor's action. Has he signed the agreed to and finally passed bills yet? And down here, the bills, where it says sections and bills by bill, that's going to tell you what statutes that you were looking for up here that are going to be affected by that bill. What's this going to change, or what's it going to replace, or what's it going to overrule? And if you're really, really interested in the criminal code, you can get the revisions right here. It's enthralling. I know, right? You can tell I'm a librarian. So these are some important things to remember about that General Assembly website. You're going to get your revised statutes of Missouri, and you can get your Missouri Constitution. You can look at the bills that are currently in front of the legislature right now, and you can follow along. That way, if you're sitting around coffee with the buddies and somebody starts talking about it, haha, you're educated, you know. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not true. I've read the bill. You can look at the bills that have been passed, and they were recently signed by the governor. And the nice thing about this website and the governor's website is it's kept up to date, so it's really, really current. They're great about that. And as I said, you can get information about your elected officials that you may or may not want to contact and say, you're doing a fantastic job, I'm so happy with you, or I don't know about that. Questions about the General Assembly website? I know it's a lot, as I said. Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between the truly agreed bills and the effective statutes? For the current session?
The truly agreed bills, truly agreed to and finally passed means that the House and Senate has agreed, and here, Governor, sign it. The affected statutes are these bills. What are they going to change? Like, I'm making this up. This is not a real thing, but the farming bill. If there's a bill that says you're allowed to have 5 chickens in St. Louis City, well, that's not true right now. I actually don't know how many chickens. Let's say you can only have 2. Well, that bill would change that statute on the book.
So, site
Yes, and I think it might also show you how it changed. Like there might be a line item through the language that 2 chickens, and then beside it say 5 chickens, yay. I'm making that up. If you live in the city, please don't get chickens.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If you're looking like at section 605, where would I go here? I mean, you go back to that one slide. Go up here to search, statute, very end, and you
Right.
put on there section 605.
Yes. If you know your section, honestly, I would start here at this index.
At that one there.
The one kind of smack dab in the middle right there, I
Okay.
would start there. But if you know what 605 is, again, I'm making this up, waterboarding.
Okay.
Maybe there's a law in the state of Missouri on waterboarding because we have Lake of the Ozarks. If you know the language, I would go here instead.
I see.
Or try that there, and if that doesn't work, go to the other one. You know why? Because it's free.
Okay.
You're not going to be charged for search, unlike the paid websites. Another really great resource we have in the state of Missouri is this Missouri Courts website. And on your handouts here, it's kind of small type, but if you'll notice, here, I'll go back one. See at the bottom here, it has the website. So you're going to have all of these websites, so you can go home and play with them all you want and mess around and answer those questions, and then come see me in the library if you have more. Okay, so the Missouri Courts website. Fantastic resource, and I'm going to first draw your attention to right up here, this banner here. So if you want to know just about the courts, I want to know the appellate courts. How's that work? Where are they? Who's on there? What's their timeline? You can go there and find out information. I'm going to skip over that one. See how this says jurors here? If you've never been on jury duty and you're kind of curious, what's that like? What's the obligation? I want to know. Or maybe you've been called for jury duty, and before you go, you want to learn a little bit more about that. Go right there. That'll tell you all you want to know about jury duty and maybe who to contact. See this pending cases and decisions? Those are things that are in front of courts right now. Like they're pending because they have not been decided yet. And then rules and resources. Those are Supreme Court operating rules. Maybe, I don't know if this is true, but I could see it being a thing. Maybe the Supreme Court in Missouri has a rule that you cannot bring cell phones into the court building. Well, that's going to be an operating rule. So the one I skipped over is the important one to me as a librarian, this one that says court forms. So if you are representing yourself, you are either going to be called a self-represented litigant, or the business term is pro se. You're a pro se litigant. We went to law school to learn these fancy words, and we like Latin, but you can call yourself a self-represented litigant, and I'll know what you mean. In the state of Missouri, there are certain forms that are put together for you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and try to make up your own forms. This representing yourself home on this Missouri Courts website is a fantastic resource for that. You can even break it down based on language. Say you speak Russian, and that's your primary language. Guess what? You can read that. You can look at the forms, and you can look at the website in that language. And if you'll see here, it says, if you're planning to represent yourself in a family court matter. That's what these forms that I'm about to talk to you about, that's what they're for. So say you come into my courthouse here, and you talk to somebody at the clerk's office, and you say, hey, I want a divorce, and I want to do it myself. Can I do that? They're going to send you upstairs to the library, and they're going to say, you need to go talk to the librarian about representing yourself. To me, this is what you're going to go to. So the very first step, and they call it the Litigate Awareness Program. The first thing you're going to do in step 1, if you are at home, you can watch this video. You can't do it in the library. But if you're at home, you can watch this video. And I describe it to people, it's kind of like a high school civics class, that this is how the court works. These are the judges, and this is who you're going to argue to, and this is a motion that's filed. It really takes you step by step so that you're really not surprised. Because if you're representing yourself in court, it can be really overwhelming. I can tell you as a formerly practicing attorney, it's overwhelming to us too. We just fake it better. So this is a great way to be informed of what's going to happen, especially if you don't have an attorney to ask. What happens when I file this motion? Does it just go into a pit? If you don't want to watch the video, or if you come see me in the library and you can't, there are written materials there. And I think it's about 6 pages that you can read through, say, okay, all right, now I'm understanding this. Answers a lot of basic questions. Okay, step 1, litigate awareness. You are aware. Your next step, you are going to go into step 2 here, and you'll see in the state of Missouri, we don't call it divorce. We call it dissolution of marriage. Again, fancy words because lawyers. Or you can get a motion to modify child custody and support. You can get a motion to modify child support, just basically family access paternity petition for child custody. The difference between a petition and a motion to modify, when people come in and they ask me, hey, I want to change my child support, I first ask them, do you have something on the books here in this court? No. Okay, well then you want a petition. This is your first time at the rodeo. I'm going to print out this petition for you. It's going to be the first thing you file, correct? You're right, that's it. Great. But if the answer is, yeah, maybe about 5 years ago, we filed something here, and I know it's downstairs, and that's what I want to change. Great, you want to modify it. So that's when you would do the motion to modify. So in step 2, you're going to pick what you want to do. You want to get the dissolution of marriage. Click that. And then you're going to open up your forms, and you can either print them out at the library and take them, or you can fill them out and print them out at home, and that's what you're going to turn in. But it's not just family law forms. I use that because that's what we mostly do in the library, the family law forms, and this is kind of hard to see, but on the court's website, it's not just family law forms. You can change your name from this website. You can do probate forms on here. You can do civil forms on here. Garnishments, mechanics liens, stuff like that. And these are all forms that have been created by the state of Missouri, so you can be pretty assured that a state of Missouri court is going to accept them. I always advise people to look at your court's website first because they might have a preferred form. I know in my courthouse we do for various things, so check there first. If there's not one there, check here second. If there's not one there, okay, well then come with me to this paid database and I'll help you find something that you either are going to write yourself and I'll hold your hand and you can do it, I promise, or maybe there's a form already there. That way you don't have to do it. So great resource. Even if you're just curious about, I wonder what these kind of forms look like. Great, go poke around. Again, you're not being charged for it. It's free. Questions about these forms or this website? Look at you guys.
What's the website for this?
I'm glad you asked. Right there at the bottom. Courts.mo, just remember courts.mo.gov. So, as I said, you can get the information about your local Missouri courts. Going to get your state court forms. You're not going to get federal court forms here. This is a state of Missouri website. If you need federal forms, that's a beast of a different color. Information about jury duty, the Missouri Supreme Court rules, opinions. The opinions are from the past 10 years. If you need to go after 10 years, you can go to Google Scholar, or you can come see me in the library, and we can set you up on a database, and we can find you something a little older, just in case you need that. You can also get the dockets for the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. I wonder what's pending this session at the Missouri Supreme Court. This is where you would go to figure that out. Yes?
Somebody passed.
Before I tell you, let me see if that's coming up next. I'm glad you asked. CaseNet. This is another resource that's provided by the state of Missouri. And this is where you're going to go for that question to search a active case, an older case. You can search here. If you know, presumably you know the name of the decedent, see this little guy right here that says Litigate Name Search? You can search right there. Search by name. If you don't know the name, I can't remember my neighbor's name, but I know his case number, search right there. If you're like, well, I don't remember any of that, but I remember he got arrested on October 19th, search right there. This is a great resource for being nosy. You can, it's kind of a free way to do background checks. It's not all encompassing, so just because somebody doesn't have anything show up doesn't mean they're clean, but.
Just know the guy's name.
Yes, you can.
Example.
I do have an example. This example, I decided to check my husband's name. Because I know for a fact he has at least one speeding ticket. So, to be fair, I checked myself first, and I'm crystal clean. I have nothing. So I had to pick somebody else, so I picked my husband. Because I figured maybe he has a speeding ticket. He hasn't done anything bad, right? So, see right here, last name. I did his last name, which is mine, Rakestraw, and then I did his first name, Eric. Right above where I put his name, you can change the court if you want to know. Like I only care about what he did in St. Louis County. You can change your court. But as is, I want to know what he did everywhere. So you can search, right? Like, nice try. So I searched. So on this screen, your litigant name is going to show up right here, Eric J. Rakestraw. That's his name. His middle initial is J. That has to be him, right? And then you have your case number right here. And then you have the style of the case, State of Missouri versus Rodney Williams. What's that? In Jackson County, that's Kansas City. Well, look over here on case type. Can you read that word? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. And it's, as you can see, it's the only one that shows up. If there were 50 cases with Eric J. Rakestraw, they would all show up there, but they don't. There's only one, and it's for paternity. Yeah. Oh, so good thing I searched. So I clicked that. So what you do, see this, the case number that's blue, hyperlinked? That's how you're going to get into it. So I click it, saying, all right, Eric J. Rakestraw, tell me more about this. And I can see that it's in Jackson County, and I can see the judge that's been assigned, and the date it's filed, 2004. Okay, I know for a fact that we were in undergrad together in 2004. So, if you follow along on these little tabs right here, you can find out the parties and attorneys that were involved. You can look at the docket sheets, which that's where the important stuff is going to be. The things that have been filed, the opinions, that's the important stuff. Well, come to find out, it wasn't really him. Eric J. Rakestraw is the name of the child involved in this paternity suit. So it was not my actual husband, but it tickled him when I called him and said, what did you do? What have you not told me? Surprise. Something to remember about CaseNet is there are two different versions of this. There's what we're seeing now as members of the public. And if I were to click here on the docket entry, you would see things that have been filed. But if you're an attorney and you log on to Secure CaseNet as a member of the bar, you can click on those documents. Like if I wanted to read this opinion as a member of the public, I can't. I can just see that something's been filed. But if I log on with my Secure CaseNet, because I'm a member of the bar, I could open that and read it. So, yes.
Does that get tracked?
Does what get tracked? I don't. It is government, so I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think so. Oh Lord, they'd have to do that a lot.
My girlfriend's like an attorney, and she looks me up. I know what she would.
These are public records. So, no. I mean, because every attorney in the state of Missouri uses this system, I can't imagine they would do that. It would be a bit too onerous. But again, these are public records. That's why you and I are looking at this now for Eric J. Rakestraw, who is not actually my husband, who was a minor at the time. That's how we can see this, because it's technically public record. Now, if you look at that docket entry, if she looks at the docket entry and she's looking at it as a member of the public, and she really wants to know that opinion, she can go to that courthouse and pull that file, because it's technically public record. And I'd say, I want to see it, please. I'd like to read it. And you can go do that. I can go do that if I'm so interested. But a lot of times you actually have to go to the courthouse to get it pulled. Answer your question a little bit, kind of? You look like you might have had a question.
Some of those tabs go to the original information on the case.
I ironically am not great at hearing, so say that all to me again.
Sometimes I've gone to those tabs and you'll see a lot of information. Other times you see very little. So,
Yeah, you're right. So with these tabs, he was asking and explaining that when you go to these tabs to look at information, sometimes the docket sheet is, I recently looked one up for a judge in my courthouse that was 19 pages long. That's a lot of motions. That's a lot of busy work. But sometimes it's only 2 entries long because maybe the court case was settled or maybe there was just one opinion entered. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's a lot of information. Sometimes there's not a lot at all. It completely depends on the case. You're right. Yes, ma'am. No, it is not. This is just a Missouri state website. And I'm pretty sure there are probably websites like this for other states, but maybe. I don't know. I never practiced there, but I can tell you Missouri is pretty unique in this. Because I'm pretty sure, at least when I went to law school in Illinois, we didn't have it there. Like we were in Illinois, we're pretty jealous of this website. So this is a pretty nice bonus of living in Missouri. It pays off, right? I'm sorry? There might be. If you're curious about that, contact their bar. The Florida bar, I know they're really into technology, social media, stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they have something like this just for that state. But contact your state's bar for that state because they're going to know. I don't. I've never practiced in Florida. I don't know. But that's who you would talk to. Helpful? Okay. One more, yes, dear.
And if you want to research on somebody that's in prison, you do the same thing.
Well, you can. You're going a little off script, but let me answer that for you. You could go here, but if I were you, I would go to the Missouri Department of Corrections, and you can search there. It's very timely that you asked that. I actually handled the prisoner litigation in East St. Louis for a year, so I know this. By searching there, you can search by name, and you can see what their offense was, and if they've been released, what prison they're in, if they've been transferred. That's where I would go. If specifically somebody in prison, if I wanted that information, that's how I would do it. But if they're already in prison, they probably have an entry here too. So you could do both. But if I wanted to know, all right, he was bad, he's in prison, what did he do then? That's where I would go. That help? You can, if he's in a federal, I say he or she is in a federal penitentiary, you can check the federal website also. And I think the federal website has pictures. If for some reason you want to know what the person looks like, I know. You can search that way. Yes, ma'am.
It amazes me that so much of this information on individuals are out there, open for the public.
Yeah.
And you can go in certain other places, medical, what have you, and you sign away so many forms saying dealing with the HIPAA law and all of that, protecting your privacy. But here, anybody, anywhere can go where there's so-and-so's name. Let me see what they've been up to. Let me see how old
Yeah.
are they and all kinds of stuff.
It's public information. One thing that might make you feel a little better, you're not going to find social security numbers here. We have confidential case filing sheets that don't go in here. That's where the full social is going to go. Children's names are going to go there. That's not going to be accessible to anybody else. Even if you go to the courthouse and say, pull this record for me, you're not going to get that. Unless you're an attorney on that case, you're not going to have access to that. So if that makes you feel a little better, I know, it's. I'm sorry? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was gotten, okay. So, things to keep in mind for CaseNet, and the website is down here. If you were asking about the courts.mo.gov, if you go to that website, there's going to be a link for this. So you don't have to remember this entirely long website here. There's going to be this little button up here that's going to be on that court's website. So you can click that to go to CaseNet. Public case records, like I said, you can search by the litigant name or your filing date or your case number. As I said, the documents in there, you're going to see that something was filed, and you can even see what it was. Oh, they filed a motion for an extension of time. You're not going to be able to read that unless you have a secure CaseNet login, which you're going to get from the Office of State Courts when you're an attorney. Something interesting, kind of going back to your question about tracking. See these little footprints down here? Say this is an active case. Let's pretend that it is. And I'm really interested in what's happening here. You can track this case. Kind of like on Google Scholar, you can track it, and you're going to be emailed about anything that's entered on the docket sheet. Oh, there's been a new motion filed. Oh, there's been a settlement. Oh, the case is closed. If you're really interested in a case, you can track it and follow it if it's something that's really important to you, which is a nice feature from CaseNet. But something to remember about CaseNet, not all courts in the state participate. So again, it goes back to when I said not everything is going to be on there, not every speeding ticket is going to be on there. Well, it's because not all courts participate. So again, you get what you pay for. It's a great starting point for just basic information, but don't rely on it for, oh, this person I'm going to rent my house to, he obviously has a clean record. He has nothing on CaseNet. you're right, he has nothing on CaseNet. That doesn't mean he has a clean record. Not necessarily. Other questions about CaseNet? I will presume that means you all are satisfied about CaseNet. Muni Code. Okay, if you are looking for ordinances, I want to know in the city of Clayton, actually this is a true story, I was eating lunch one day at Bread Co. and there were birds around me, and I was picking up pieces of my bread and tossing it, and for some reason my lawyer brain kicked in and I thought, I wonder if that's illegal. People do it all the time, right? Spoiler alert, it is, it's littering. Don't do it. I doubt that you're going to be arrested for it, but now I know, right? So if I want to know about that, I'm going to go to Muni Code. And when you go to Muni Code on the homepage, go up to this library right here. The nice thing about Muni Code is it's national. So you said Florida, you're interested in Florida. I want to know about what the ordinances in the city of Miami are. Go here, it's national. So go to your library. Because we're in Missouri, I went ahead and searched Missouri. So I got all the state of Missouri, right? Next, it's going to be broken up by municipality or city or county. So we have St. Louis County down here, but a little closer to my stomping grounds is Springfield, if I want to know about the city of Springfield, if I want to know St. Louis City instead. So let's pretend I clicked on St. Louis County. I want to know what the ordinances are for the entire county. So you can see I've already selected county. And this is the code of ordinances. So I can click on that to search specifically if I want to know the traffic ordinances. Again, four-way stops, people cannot do them, and I want to know what's the law on that. You can search right there. And when you click browse, you can type in what you're looking for, or if you know exactly what you're looking for in the index, you can select. Like I knew I wanted to know about traffic and four-way stops. You can narrow it down that way. Well, let me tell you a true story about Muni Code. One day, I came into work, and our library has a Gmail that I check and monitor. And I had an email from a gentleman who was from the city of Baldwin, and I'm paraphrasing, but only roughly, he was interested in getting a pet fox, and he wanted to know if he could do that. And he kind of seemed like he was in a hurry to do it, like he was on the road to get this fox. And I had a bad feeling, like, he's going to get this fox, and I'm pretty sure he's not allowed to have it, and he's going to have to rehome this fox, and this is not going to end well for anybody. It's going to be rabid, he's going to get rabies. Like, I didn't feel great about it. Normally, when people email or call or even come into the library, we tell them, we don't do research for you. I show you how to use the database. I'm not going to find the answer for you. I will teach you how to fish. I'm not catching that fish for you. I made an exception here because, again, I was really afraid this man was about to go buy him a fox or go try to catch one. So I took a deep breath, I went to Muni Code, and I pulled up Baldwin, Missouri, and then I went through their ordinances, and I found one for keeping animals within city restricted. And based on that information, and I emailed this to him, and I emailed him the link and said, I'm not giving you legal advice, but I think you should read this, and I think you should be real careful, and look how it says you can't own, among other things, a rabbit, a skunk, or a raccoon. That kind of sounds to me like it might include things like foxes. Again, you do what you want, but if you're really, really wanting a fox, call someone in Baldwin or talk to an attorney. I think this is a bad idea. And he emailed me back and said, okay, you're right, I don't want a fox after all. Whew. But that's how I found that information. If, going back. If on this page you don't see your municipality, they're not all on there. I said earlier that I learned that in Clayton you're not supposed to feed ducks. I didn't find this here. For some reason, the city of Clayton's not on here. So instead, I went to the city of Clayton's website and I found ordinances that way. So if it's not on here, start here first because it might have already been done for you. But if it's not here, go to your municipality or your city's personal website and you can usually find it that way. I think you had your hands up. Did you have a question? I guess not. So that's Muni Code for ordinances and codes. And as you saw, you separate it first by state, and then you can separate it by municipality, which is like your city, and by county. You can check on that website to see if it's been recently updated. See this top corner up here where it says show changes? If I were to click that, it's going to show me if this keeping animals has recently been updated. Maybe it used to stay Fox, and Fox was deleted because they decided that was okay now. Clicking this show changes, that's what's going to show me how it's been updated, what's been deleted, and whatnot. Another thing about this, right kind of above that, see how that says notifications? Again, as a lot of these free websites do, you can be notified if something changes. The Fox guy, if he wants to follow this legislation, because maybe he's hoping they're going to say you can't keep all of these things except foxes, he's going to want to be notified by that, by email. You might even be able to sign up by text just to stay abreast of that because it's maybe really important to him. As I said, you can email each time that code is updated, but again, not all counties or municipalities are going to be listed there. Yes?
When you're talking about show changes, how far back is that? You know what I'm saying?
I do. I know what you're saying. I think it depends. It might go all the way back, but I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. But play around with it. You find out, and then you let me know. Homework. Come visit me in the library or send me an email to the library's Gmail and answer that question for me. Bet you regret asking, don't you? Anybody else have any questions? Want homework? I didn't think so. All right, and as with everything else, the website's going to be here. This one's actually pretty easy to remember. Muni Code. They keep it nice and simple, not www.2.courts.mo.gov, right? This one's a little easier to remember. Any other questions about Muni Code? Again, I know it's kind of overwhelming. I encourage you, go home and play with it. All right. There are plenty of free resources online. This was just the starting point. These are just ones that I wanted to show you about. There are so many others. That said, there are other resources in various law libraries that are not free, but they're free to you. Come see me. You can see me in the county. I'm on the 6th floor in the courthouse right over there. Once you make it through security, that's the hardest part. Once you've taken off your shoes and all your jewelry and gotten strip searched, you're already in the building. Just come right up to the 6th floor. The 6th floor is the top floor. It is the penthouse, okay? It's just me and IT. It's nice and quiet. Come see me in the library. If you're not here in the county, there's a counterparts for me in the city in the civil courts building. They're going to have a lot of the same resources. A lot of the paid databases that are really actually kind of expensive, we pay for those. I pay for it so you don't have to. Come play around with it. Again, it's free to you. Again, in the city, go to one of the law schools. You can go to WashU or you can go to SLU. They're not going to have as many free resources for you as a member of the public, but they have some. I know for a fact they have some terminals set up with Westlaw, which is one of the really big expensive databases that you can use for free. They also have reference librarians that they're going to answer some questions for you. Go to them and ask them your questions about, can I own a fox in Baldwin? They're going to answer that for you. They also have, we were talking about the reporters earlier. They have those books too that you can pull off the shelf and read. Ask them questions. And if you really want to know about federal information, I told you earlier that my partner abandoned me. He is at the U.S. Courts Library. Their library is on the 22nd floor in the Eagleton building. Technically open to the public, but they don't have as many free resources for the public because, to be honest, they mostly exist for their judges. So they're a library that's open to the public, but yes, you can read some of their books, but you're not going to be able to get Wi-Fi there. They don't have any public access terminals there. They can answer some reference questions for you, but that's not their main goal. So if you're looking for federal information, stop by and see one of us, 1, 2, 3, 4 first, before you go to the courts library. All right, questions? Yes?
Yeah, in the regular St. Louis County Library, is there somebody like you that can help us through?
Do you mean St. Louis County Public?
Yes.
Or St. Louis Public Law Library?
No, it's the regular library.
But by people like me, do you mean the all-knowing, fantastic library? Be more specific. The most beautiful librarian? They do have reference librarians, but keep in mind, I'm a law librarian, which means I'm a former lawyer. I'm trained in law. They're going to know a lot of these websites, But especially, we have a public library 2 blocks.
Yeah.
2 blocks up the street. Honestly, if you're there, they're probably going to say, you should go talk to the law library. And I'm going to be, it's not that they're not helpful, it's just there's certain terms of art that maybe you say to me, I'm looking for divorce papers. Okay, I know in Missouri that means dissolution of marriage. Maybe they don't know that. So you can go there and you can use these resources, and they're going to have some statute books, but if you want something really, really specific, come see me. Is that what? Yeah, drive to Clayton, pay for parking, bring plenty of change, come through security, which is so very inviting. Do not bring any food in, and you better turn that cell phone off. And then come upstairs to the 6th floor and come see me. So inviting. Yes, sir.
Say an employer does a background check on you, what kind of resources do they use for that?
I suspect it would probably depend on the employer. I know in St. Louis County, because we're kind of big and they can spend the money, they're going to pay for that search. If it's a smaller employer, maybe kind of a mom and pop shop, they might use CaseNet and search that way. But I suspect most of them are probably using paid searches because it's a lot more encompassing.
Searchers use.
I don't know, and that's probably the point, that we don't know. But I genuinely don't know. I know that for character and fitness for the bar, they obviously, they know everything you do. Don't try to hide anything. So they call a lot of the paid and the unpaid. They know everything. They might even go to FBI databases and get information that you and I as members of the public can't get to. But yeah, I suspect most employers, especially the bigger ones, that's how they're going to do it. They're going to do paid background checks. Kind of answer your question? I know the answer is, I don't know. Sorry. Other questions? Yes? Fantastic library. Let me give them a shout out real quick because when I was in library school, I did a practicum there. The Missouri History Museum in the Forest Park, did you know that they have a library? All of the exhibits there, when the exhibits come off, they don't just go away. They go back to the library. I will get back to you, I promise, but you brought up an excellent point. If you are on Skinker, right north of 40, just keep driving along the park, there's going to be a big building there that's domed that used to be a synagogue. That's where it is. So look to your, I guess depending on which way you're going, look to your left, look to your right. If you see a park, look the other way. There's going to be a big dome. That's their history museum and library. Also open to the public. They are fantastic. They actually still have card catalogs that you can pull out, and that's how you search. Their stacks are closed, so it's not like a regular library that you can just go and browse. But, like for example, when I was practicuming there, which in library school you have to get some real-world experience, my job was to measure original 1904 World's Fair maps. And I did that by going into the closed stacks as an employee and pulling those out and measuring them there and then going back. So if you go in and you say, hey, I want to see those maps that Lacy was talking about, you would go to that museum library, pull the card and say, hey, librarian, can you pull this for me? And they will. They have so much stuff. And it's not just books, it's not just maps, I think there was a 1930s black Vera Wang dress that I was dying to see. But you can have that pulled out and you can look at all their resources. Okay, what was your actual question? To be honest, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Their librarian, when I came here to the county, after I did my practicum, she called me and wanted to meet with me and asked, we have a patron that's trying to donate these older Missouri case law books. Should I keep them? Is it worth it? And I said, no. I have them. SLU has them. WashU has them. The federal courthouse has them. The civil court has them. We have them. Unless you have the room, and I know you don't do it. But if you have something, if it's the very first law book from the state of Missouri that was ever written, you might find it there. You're not going to find that in my library. Oh no, I'm not that important. But you might find it there. So if it's something that's specifically very, very historic, yeah, go there. Or go to their websites and maybe search their information there. But keep in mind with their catalog, because it's card catalog, you're not going to get a lot of information about what they have there. So I encourage you, go there. It's not a wasted trip. I'm so excited that you asked that because this is a fantastic library that has nothing to do with the law, but to give them a great plug, yeah, go there. Kind of answer your question. For that information, come see me. Or go, if it's older, go specifically to WashU or SLU because they're archives. I am not. I only go back so far, and because my library is more focused on the present law, I'm not going to have a lot of that information. But the academics, they're focused on scholarly information, the learned information. They're going to have the original case law for writing really important journal articles. That's not what I do. And most people that come to my library, that's not their goal. So yeah, go to the academics. And you can email them, call them, and say, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have this? And probably most of the time they're going to say, yeah, come on in, or no, but let me call around and find out who does. I can handle that for you. Answer your question? All right, other questions? Yes. I do. So I'm going to give you my personal phone number. Don't make me regret it. You ready? It is area code 314-615-3287. I never call myself 3287. So that is my direct line. If I'm not there, just come visit. I have a bad habit of getting up and wandering away and going to chambers and doing things. So leave me a voicemail and I'll call you back. Because I always get voicemails as soon as I get up to walk away, every single time. So you probably caught me going to help a patron. Yes, ma'am. It is 615-3287. And if you want to email me, it's my name, Lacy, no E, dot Rakestraw, Rakestraw, at courts with an S, .mo.gov. And if you forget how to spell my name, check your first page here, and it's down here in this corner here. Got it? Yes, sorry. Were you asking me a question?
Yes, ma'am. On the CaseNet, as a lawyer, you pay a fee. As a citizen, can I pay the fee and then have access to CaseNet?
When I pay a fee, I mean, those are my bar dues.
Correct.
Unless you have a compelling reason and you can convince the Missouri Supreme Court that you need access to that, I don't think you can. I don't think they just give out access that way. Okay. You have to have a pretty compelling reason, and you need to convince somebody, one of those judges, that I have a reason to have that.
Okay. I see.
Does that make sense? Oh, based on CaseNet, the reason that we as attorneys have secure access, that's how we file things. When I want to file a motion, and here in St. Louis County we have e-filing. So instead of walking to the courthouse like in the olden days, like this was like 4 years ago, it's not that old, and saying, here's my motion, file it, now I just electronically submit it. So I don't have to wait until the courthouse is open. I can file it at 4 a.m. as soon as I'm done. That's why attorneys have access to it, because that's how they're filing the cases.
I understand that the attorneys also have a fee for that service that's put on a credit card. No longer is there cash or check. It's called a credit card.
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
When I suspect, so you were talking about paying. That's this pay by web feature down here. So I know they take credit cards.
Yes.
But I can't imagine they would say, no, you're not allowed to submit a check anymore. Depending on what it's for, it also will depend on the courthouse.
Okay.
So again, don't quote me, but maybe some of them just want cold hard cash. Who knows? Yes?
Quick question.
Yes.
Is it possible to get a case expunged on CaseNet if it's done?
I know that in
A traffic ticket or something like that.
I know that in our courthouse there's a form for that you can fill out, and it has to be ordered by the courts. And then at that point, I believe it is expunged. If it's successfully expunged by the court, by court order, yeah, it would be deleted here.
You have to go through each separate court. How does that?
What do you mean?
I'm not quite following.
Yeah.
Let's say, what's that?
If you have, if you were,
Traffic tickets from Clayton, you have to go to the municipal court of Clayton, have them
That wouldn't be on this website.
Oh, you go directly to case.
Remember when I said that I know for a fact my husband has a speeding ticket because I was there?
Right.
It's not on here. It was just the paternities.
Right.
And again, remember when I said my record is squeaky clean? I wish. But my speeding tickets aren't on there. So they're not everything is going to be on here.
Let's say there is something on there, and it's done, and you want to have
Talk to the clerk of court. If you're here in St. Louis County and you know it was filed here and happened here, call our clerk's office or come in and talk to the clerk's office and say, hey, how do I do this? I want this gone, for whatever reason. They might send you upstairs to see me. It might be as simple as filling out the expungement form and then filing it, but they're the ones that would answer that question for you. The circuit clerk. So if you come into our building here, you're going to go to the first floor. And just like this building here, annoyingly, the first floor is not the first floor.
Yeah.
Go one up. We're very European that way. So coming on street level and then go one up. But yeah, in St. Louis County, it is Joan Gilmer. Mm-hmm. And handily, when you walk, right as you walk through security in our courthouse, there's a big information desk. And they're clerk's office employees too.
Can this be done by owner? Do you have to show up?
You can probably call and ask them, what do I need to do? But if it's, and they might even tell you, you need to go ahead and come in because you're going to need a form and it's only in the library. But you might, honestly, if you're not sure, I would call first. And that way you don't have to come all the way to Clayton and pay for parking and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, definitely call first.
Lacy, to clarify, you're saying like you have to be in the same city. Say if the incident's in Missouri, you have to go to Missouri.
Call first. That's kind of a long, not great drive, but call the City of Columbia Municipal Court and ask. Say, I need to talk to the clerk of courts. This is what's going on. What do I need to do? And it might be that it happened annoyingly right outside the City of Columbia, so it's Boone County jurisdiction. And you need to call the Boone County Courthouse. But yeah, wouldn't you rather know before you drive all that way? I'm not a huge fan of 70, if you can't tell.
And let's say it happens in the city of
Same thing, call them. Call their clerk's office. They're going to have basically the same setup that we do, but just a little smaller.
Right, and
Makes
just,
sense?
not
Sorry.
to interrupt, but just
I'll
keep
get
in
you.
mind, there's a difference between municipal charges that you would get from like a municipality. So even in the city of St. Louis, you could get a ticket in the city of St. Louis that is a St. Louis City ordinance violation, and that would be a different process than if in the city of St. Louis you got a state violation that was going to be in state court.
Right, kind of.
So it would be in the state court in the city of St. Louis, the circuit in the city of St. Louis, but if it was a state charge, but if it's a municipal charge, it would be in the Muni Code.
Right, littering at Breadco, that's Clayton Municipality. Murdering someone at Breadco, I'm coming to the 21st Circuit. Not a city ordinance to murder
Yeah, you're
someone.
not going to go to night court for murdering.
No. Yes, you waited so patiently.
Do you have any information or anything like that on VA type stuff, veteran benefit stuff, or veterans, forms and stuff? Is that something that you find here too?
Well,
Because I know there's lawyers that just practice that type.
yeah, you can come see me for that, but keep in mind it's federal stuff. So
federal stuff.
I'm going to help you find some stuff online, but those aren't going to be these kind of websites. Those are websites that...
Websites.
No, I'm positive there are websites. I just didn't include it because I just wanted to give you Missouri state stuff. But you're asking about federal information, which I could still show you, but you have to come see me in the library. Or you could go to those other libraries that I listed. You can go see them too. Because I'm positive there is a federal website specifically on that because it's so very specific, but it's a huge area. Yeah. Yeah, right? All right, other questions? Yes?
Does the city of St. Louis still have a city council's office of prosecutor?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've heard of it being gotten rid of. Yes.
City council.
Yes.
Big charge. Prosecutor.
Yes. Okay. Yes. You're right. I wanted to make sure that's what you were asking. Yes. So there's a Breadco downtown. Littering there, that's going to be a City of St. Louis ordinance. Murdering someone in that Breadco, serial killer, that's going to be a state charge. Again, in the City of St. Louis, but state law, state courthouse. Make sense? Yes.
Did you say CaseNet is pay-per-view, it's not free?
No, it's free. Everything that I've showed you here is free. Go and play with this stuff put yourself to sleep at night. With images of these free legal resources, I've given you dancing in your head. This is all free. And those subscription websites that I told you about that I pay for, normally for attorneys, those are per use. You learn in library school, don't click the wrong thing, you're gonna charge it and your client's gonna be so mad. You don't have to do that in my library. I pay a flat fee per month and you can search all you want. I tell law students, when you graduate, come see me, mess up at my library. The worst I'm gonna do is shake my head at you and say, oh, honey. But you're not gonna get fired. So even those paid websites, when you come to the public library, those are no charge for you. So yeah, come see me, come play with me, come cut your teeth on those paid, really expensive websites, free of charge for you. I'll pay for it. Yes.
And it's fun to look up your family, friends, and neighbors on CaseNet.
Isn't it? Yes. I promise I'll get back to you. We had a patron come in last week that wanted to look on CaseNet and said, I know my neighbor did something, but I don't remember what it was. Okay, what's his name? And it was something really simple like John Smith. Well, that's not going to be helpful. Do you remember when he did this thing? I think it was between this date and this date. All right, so we kind of set it up for him. He found it, which more power to him, but he found it and said, oh, that's what he did. He lit something on fire, but now he knew. So yeah, great way to look up, to spy on your neighbors. That guy, yeah, I know that guy. Find out if your husband has a pending paternity action. Yeah, you find that out. Just 1 second, because that man back there was so patient. Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned Westlaw. What other subscription services I come to your library?
Me specifically? So I have Westlaw, which I told you about. Again, it's very, very, very big. Let's see, what else? I have, who said Lexis? No, I call them Lexis Nemesis. Just kidding. I don't have Lexis and Westlaw because they're so very similar that I can't justify the expense. I cannot, because of confidentiality, I cannot tell you how much I pay for our Westlaw subscription. I will tell you it is 6 figures. Yes, so please come use it. Please come play around with it so I can justify to my judges. Please let me keep it, please. It is budget season after all. So, LexisNexis is about pretty comparable, but it's pretty similar stuff. It's going to be organized a little different, but I personally, as a public law librarian, can't justify the expense to pay for both of them. SLU and WashU, they're going to have both because they have to. They're teaching law students, and the American Bar Association says, no, you have to give equal rights to this vendor and this vendor and this one and this one. Also, they're a law student. They have more money than we do, so they can afford it. So if you want to know about Lexis, go see them. I think, again, don't quote me, I think maybe the civil courts library downtown also has Lexis. And I know for a fact that our prosecuting attorney's office uses Lexis. That said, they often come and see me in the library to use Westlaw instead. Just saying. All right, yes, ma'am.
Why, it's a public record, why do we have to pay?
What do you mean pay?
Why is some of the information you pay for?
You're actually not paying for it. It's just,
What do you do?
But you have access to it because you pay. Paying for the database?
I'm not paying for the database, I'm paying for the right to practice law. My bar fees. I'm paying for, I think it's what, like $350?
Are you talking about like Lexis and Westlaw?
Yes. Access to the
Oh, those are paid databases. That's how they make their money.
So they just
They're a company.
information.
They, honestly, what they do is they go through a lot of this information that's free and they cull it and then they put it up for sale based on annotations. Annotations means, here's the case, here's what it means. Remember on the Google Scholar, I said you're gonna miss a lot of the good stuff that is worth paying for? That's what I mean. I mean that it's not just the case law. You're gonna get the citations. You're gonna get, is it still good law? Is it not still good law? Which is really important when you're practicing law. So that alone might make you wanna come visit me to check on that particular case. Does that answer your question? But Westlaw, Lexis, Wolters Kluwer, CCH, those are all individual, they're not state companies. They are individual private companies, kind of like Walmart. Like, why do you have to pay for something at Walmart? Because that's how they make their money. So, but honestly, that's why, I won't forget you, I promise. That's why I'm encouraging you to go here first, because a lot of this information, the state statutes, those are necessarily available for free. Go there instead. That said, they're kind of boring and it's kind of hard to read. So come to see me in my library, and I'll show you the annotated version. The annotated version in Missouri is Vernon's Annotated Missouri Statutes. So it's that same law, but it has footnotes that say, okay, I know that was really bad, let me explain it. Not dumb it down, but let me explain it so that you're not crossing your eyes, because even I crossed my eyes and I was trained to read it. So that's what makes those paid databases worth it. Does that answer your question? Come see me in the library. I get bored and lonely. Come see me, and I will show you around, and you will fall in love with it, I promise. Promise. All right, yes?
I'm not a computer person, but
Lucky you I am. Go on.
but a friend of mine was hiring, and just that person there, just feeling your person. So I went out and back to your checking your husband.
Just for show, just because I needed to give you all an example. I had no doubts.
If I see him, I'll tell him what the wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I take it that if I wanted to check anybody, can I just do it, or an employer wants to check somebody about a co-record?
Yeah, it's public information. Yeah. Like I said, not everything is going to be on there, keep in mind, but a lot of things are. You can, I told him, but I didn't have to tell my husband that I checked him. And I probably wouldn't have if not for the paternity suit. And funny story, ha ha ha. And you should have seen his face. What? You didn't do anything wrong. Why are you looking so nervous? Did that answer your question? All right, any other questions? I know it's a lot of information. You all obviously have copies of the handouts. Go home and play with this information. You all have my phone number, and you all have my email address. Long day, sorry.
You're on the 6th floor.
I am the 6th floor, the penthouse of the courthouse. Come see me. Any questions you have? If there's something that maybe you're a little nervous about asking right now, like, will that murder I may or may not have committed at the bread co be on here? You can come talk to me afterwards.
Or the breadcrumbs on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I was that person feeding the birds. Email me, call me, come visit me, or come talk to me. Or if you get to your car and you go, that was what I was going to ask her. Happens all the time. You know how to get a hold of me. My email? It's going to be my first name dot last name at courts.
It's Lacy dot
Rakestraw.
Rakestraw.
At courts
At court.
with an S. Put an S after the word court.
At courts.
Dot mo.
What?
Dot mo for Missouri.
Oh, MO.
Yeah, mo. Dot gov. Gov.
.gov. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.